Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Burak. Welcome to everyone who is new to my channel. Thank you so much for everybody who likes and comments. You guys leave me such nice comments. I really appreciate that. And sharing the videos too. And if you hit the notification bell, then when I make a post, a written post, you'll get a notification of it. The days that I can't make a video, I try to, if Metatron has me, wants me to share something, I try to make the post, and I get those on Facebook as well. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. So we're still in that energy of Pluto, the Pluto and Jupiter conjunction that will come to be on April 5th. But, because like I said, those are such big energies, we're already feeling that. And we have Mars going through the end of Capricorn, ticking off all of the planets that are there. Jupiter and Pluto, he's finished with. He comes to his degree of exaltation shortly. And then he will, on the 31st, move into Aquarius and join Saturn there in Aquarius, which is what we're going to cover. So, I just want to reiterate, because I think sometimes I don't want to, bring fear or worry, but I just want you to know that this is a really intense time. And I wanted to say, anytime that New York City comes to your mind, or any place, you can always just say, you're a part of the Creator. So you can just ask the Creator, or say, Creator, send love, send light to those places. Thank you for everyone who participated in the Vimeo meditation, the Healing for the World. I don't share those on YouTube because sadly they don't get watched as much, but that's a wonderful meditation. There's some downloads from Isis. And, if you want to be part of helping to heal the world, that meditation, I'm holding space, so you're just participating that way. There's really not a lot of work involved, but there's a lot of good stuff in that video with the downloads, and then doing just chakra work for ourselves. Any of those videos, the Emerald Fire videos on Vimeo, which you can find in the description box, the link to my Vimeo channel, and they're free. But I mean, like I said, there's some that have a charge. I just don't know how to undo that, or I would, but there's plenty of them that are up that don't have a charge at all. So go ahead and, use those if you'd like to. They're good for balancing the chakras, and Metatron's energy is with you when you're doing those. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, all of the angels who participate in the meetings with us, sometimes dragons. So anyway, you could check those out if you'd like to. So, getting back to what we were talking about, this is just going to be a really intense period. And, I want to speak to the fact that, and a lot of you share with me different, watch this person. I don't watch those people. I watch Amanda Ellis, if, depending on the videos, and just because I don't have a lot of time to do that. And I also, I don't like to be influenced at all. I like to just have my information come from the Creator or from Metatron, Jesus. But I always go through the white light, the Creator's pure white light energy when I'm interacting with my guides. And that's always just the best way to do it. And I don't, Metatron is saying, give any energy to anything of, if anything that may be, he's saying fantasy and illusion. So I don't participate in those at all. And so on this channel, we're about the Creator's truth and the pure white light love energy that has nothing at all to do with separation or bad guys or anything like that. I'm not saying that it isn't true. Obviously, we know that there are shadow governments at work throughout the world. I don't use the terms, the salacious terms that we've come up with to describe them. I don't believe that we, have names and all of that kind of thing. That's just not my game. I'm very straightforward and honest, and I just wanted to let you guys know that that's not anything that I do. That doesn't have anything to do with the work that we do on this channel, because the whole idea of all of the light systems, and some people, there are different counts, like 21 is a typical number that I hear for the number of light systems that comprise humanity. The reason that we came up with this experience was to see, can we leave the light? Can we begin incarnating? And then at some point in the evolutionary spiral, come to the realization that, oh, we are still a part of the light, and remember who we are, and that there is no separation. And when we first started, well, I'm not going to say we first started, but when religions came to be, it was a way that we separated. My belief is better than your belief. And, then there were all of the wars that we've had over religious differences. And the reason that I keep this, and one of you had asked me in the comments what this is actually from Etsy, and it's wood. It's wooden. It looked copper just because it's behind. And the plate is, a lot of you asked about the plate. It's from TJ Maxx. And I use this, Mother Mary actually brought me to this plate. It looks a lot like the white pearly iridescent light that makes up the quantum field. And so I just want to, for all of you who are new, who I haven't had a chance to share this with, so the way that it works, like through timelines and with the quantum field. And I'm going to talk a lot more about these things coming up, especially with Saturn and Aquarius, because Aquarius is about awakening and higher knowledge. So I'm going to share a lot more of these things with you and dedicate whole videos just to teaching about these things. But right now you're here, and you're also here and here and here and here and here and here. And when you're here, then, as you're in these places, they become they're the center. And then there are all, 6 points that feed out from there. And that just keeps going and going and going and going. And the quantum and the walls, I guess you would say, because it kind of looks like a honeycomb, are comprised of this white pearly iridescent light. And the rainbow that we see in the light is Metatron. I will get more into that when I do the video about Metatron, just exclusively about the Metatron energy. And he will let me know when the best time is for that. He was, telling me, obviously right now people are, of course, caught up in other things. They have bigger, he's saying, fish to fry right now. So we'll wait until timing is better for that. I know everybody's at home and, spending a lot of time watching YouTube, but we want to make sure to get that information out at just the right time. So what I want to say about that with the quantum field is that these are not like numbered, labeled dimensions. And I see, now in the spiritual community, some things, people talking about like, this person's only in this dimension and I'm in this dimension, and it doesn't work like that. And that's all just part of that same story of, oh, we're better than these people over here, and separation. And we're not going to do that again. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction that came to be the last time in Capricorn was on the fixed star Polis. And so it related to religion. And that's why Martin Luther nailed, I think that's not true, but I mean, he was the one that broke with the Catholic Church, and we became, we started doing Protestantism, or believing in a different way, and we've spent that 500-year period moving away from religious differences and coming to a place of tolerance, Metatron is talking about. And so really just remembering, and I've shared this before too, sorry to everybody who's already heard this story, but I saw myself, because I, go around to all of the different timelines and check in on things, and I've seen myself in another timeline where I'm with my twin flame and my mother, I'm just not a nice person there. I'm constantly complaining and ungrateful. And my mother is like me, my mother is awakened and enlightened, and she's trying to convince me to believe the things that I talk about here. And I'm just sort of like, whatever. So, just recognize that everyone has their role to play. We're not all trying to get to a certain place and then everyone's acceptable. We really have to do the work on ourselves. Venus, and right now she's in Taurus, but she's going to move into Gemini. And then we're really going to, and I think we're already there because we're all at home. A lot of us at home with our families, our biggest mirrors. And Venus is about the mirror, the other. What do you see? It's that Aries Libra axis, the self and the other. And what do you see of yourself in others? Everyone is always reflecting ourselves to us, especially when they trigger us. When someone triggers me or I hear somebody say something, I'm like, and then I think like, oh no, that's me. I just had a thought of judgment about someone, but it's actually me. And then I go and I do the work for it because I don't want it in there anymore. I'm a Scorpio. If there's something that's not right, I want it out. So, just keep that in mind that, the energies are so intense, and we're at home with the people we love the most, who know exactly how to push our buttons a lot of times. And so just really, anything you can do to take a breath, take a drive if you can, or take a walk, if you need a break. But of course, there are a lot of people out there, who are able to work with you on those kind of things. I would say I always advise people when I'm working on people, when I'm getting ready to do the videos, I always make the statement, I go into the light, the creator's light, and I make the statement that I surrender everything of ego and anything that's coming from self, and I allow myself to be a vessel, tool, and a channel of the frequency of the creator's pure unconditional love and highest truth. And then if I'm like today with Metatron, I said like I allow the Holy Spirit or Metatron, however you see that energy, to speak through me. And I would just advise you when you're having a reading or a healing session to ask the person who is working on you if they have done that or if they're willing to do that. You can also just make the statement to the creator that you don't want ego involved in the reading that you're getting, because it isn't, it's tricky. I'm not going to lie. It's tricky to discern, especially right now. I wish I had a chart and I don't. And I suppose that's why he brought up that chart to me. But what's happening now, where Pluto and Saturn had their meeting, okay? And then looking at Uranus in the beginning of Taurus, in the middle of those, and midpoints are extremely important in your natal chart and in the sky for transits. In the middle of what was happening with those energies of Uranus and Taurus, changing our values, changing, the way that you feel about yourself, like your own sense of self-worth, but then just values and even morality for the collective. And then that Pluto-Saturn conjunction, in between them is Neptune in Pisces and Nessus, who we look at Nessus as abuse or something sinister. And so, I just want to make the point that we're at a time right now where our thoughts about others are instantly manifesting. We're having instant manifestations of things. And so in the post that I wrote yesterday, I wanted to put it out there that when we're feeding our minds with conspiracy theories and telling the story over and over again that, something's being done to us, somebody's coming to get us, that and saying like the government is doing X, Y, and Z, that we can, if enough people believe that and keep putting it out there, you can create that. And so I was trying to make the point in the post to not give our energy there and instead as one of you, Dev, left a really nice comment on that video, the last video that I did, about, the system is broken. The system has failed, and it's not sustainable to go forward in the systems that we have at work now. And that's, I think for every one of our governments, there's problems. I know, a lot of you in England, I see posts constantly about NHS. We don't have anything in place here. And that's what we're looking at with the response to this virus. COVID-19 has brought up a whole series of issues for us to look at. In the United States, there was fear about closing the schools because a lot of children only eat during the day at school. That's the wealthiest nation in the world, but all of our budget predominantly goes to the military industrial complex. And so what I was talking about in the end of corruption video about the Pluto return of the United States, something has actually happened with that. It's pretty exciting, so I wanted to share with you. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, he called for an immediate ceasefire. The quote is, "It is time to put armed conflict on lockdown and focus together on the true fight of our lives." So just like the council said that these things are going to, I believe that, I'd like to think that this is it, COVID-19, and that'll take care of it. But I believe that through this next quarter century, as Pluto, because Pluto is hitting the Pluto of the United States pretty much now. He's 4 degrees away and it's Pluto, so it's not even 4 degrees and it's Pluto. So that's close enough with Pluto. If you've had a Pluto transit, you know what I'm talking about. So, these changes are going to come about over the next quarter of a century where things come up and we can't feed the military industrial complex. And as far as shady government dealings, we have the Department of Justice trying to, they've asked Congress to invoke special powers so that they're able to do all kinds of things to citizens right now. And then we had a package that was put forward that was only going to be for the wealthy, not giving any compensation to hourly workers who are not able to work right now, small business owners. So, pay attention to those things. Let's not get so swept up in what's happening, like the health crisis, that we're letting these things go on. Call your senator, send an email, your congressman, your senator, whatever you can do to speak up for yourself, okay? Or speak up for your neighbors. This is the Saturn and Aquarius energy, where the systems that are in place, Pluto and Capricorn, the systems in place are not viable, no longer viable, is what Metatron is saying. And so we're looking at a new structure moving forward. Aquarius is about what comes next. It's about the youth. It's about revolutions and revelations and moving forward. It's a forward thinking energy and really planning, what do we need to do? What do we not like about the system that we have right now? And what can we do better moving forward? We had a pandemic response team in place in 2018. They were all fired. But that would have helped coordinate between the states and getting ventilators and all of those kinds of things that, yes, they're not a problem every day, but should we be investing in what's best for the people, even if it's something that doesn't happen every year? Yes. I would rather do that than pay for another fighter jet. We've got enough of those where nobody is going to beat us. Okay? How many weapons do we need? Because that money doesn't go to the soldier. So I just want to make that point that, this is what we talked about in that video that I channeled the council in that video for the end of corruption. And this is what we're seeing now, the breaking down of the system. I don't know how far it's going to break down. If I knew that, if I had a better idea of what's going on with that, then I would share that with you. But they're sort of I'm seeing things dropping, things, collapsing. I believe when they showed me, I don't know what that was, 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, that mountaintop kind of sliding off the mountain. I think that that was just, a way to show me what was about to happen as far as government and structure, because really all over the world, governments are having to scramble to figure out how to deal with this. And so that's what Saturn and Aquarius, we're going to be looking at building a structure, a foundation that can sustain and will help us to move forward in the future. Now, Saturn in Aquarius, I wanted to mention that he is going to leave Aquarius. He goes retrograde on May 11th, and then he's going to move back and come to Capricorn at July 28th, and he'll stay in Capricorn until December 18th, and then he'll come back into Aquarius until March of 2023. So 3 years from now, he will have finished with Aquarius. 2 weeks after that, Pluto enters Aquarius. So, when we talk about Aquarius being the sign of awakening, and it's linked also, and I don't like to link like just one sign with a chakra, but the crown star that looks like a lotus flower. It looks like a crown, and the petals look like a lotus flower. I actually found they showed me a really good image for that, so I'm going to make a post about it. But the key codes are stored in the crown chakra, in the petals of the crown chakra. So some of you during sessions with me have had activations. A lot of times when we finish the first session and you do an attunement with Metatron, he will activate key codes in the crown chakra. Those also get activated when you're like with someone who's been to different places on the planet. You share codes, okay? And I'll talk about this probably in another video, but when I've gone and done work for the Galactics, and I had no idea what I was doing, but they had me go like to the gold mines in South Central Africa and different places. They even had me do he's calling it an errand. That's a great story though. I'm going to save that for another video. But that's how it happens with the key codes. Like I took crystals to sacred sites, not realizing at all what I was doing. But I had those key codes then downloaded into the crystals, and they're in this room. When you walk into my office, I don't care who you are. When people walk into my office, they're like, whoa. I mean, the office is like taking off pretty much. So you can feel the activity going on, the Uranian activity, the Aquarian activity in my office. So when we're talking about, Saturn going there, he's paving the way for Pluto to come through, because that's going to be, he's calling it evolutionary, but revolutionary. But he's calling it evolutionary. It's going to be like the magnitude of awakenings during that period is going to be off the charts. Now, when we're talking about Pluto and Uranus, that's pretty helter-skelter kind of energy. Not every day of that transit, obviously, because that goes on for years. But I'm just letting you know that it may not come about in a way that's like so easy. Like, look at what's happening right now. But this is a time when, and Metatron was, because I don't want to make little of the fact that there are lives being lost. And I hope that everybody realizes, that's something that I deal with in my own way, because of what I do in the soul family. One of my job or tasks, I don't know how you want to say that, is helping people to go to the other side. And I saw myself doing that when I was 21 years old, and I had no idea what was going on. But now I understand it better. And it's important for all of us to recognize that there are contracts, that you come here with things to accomplish. And once they're accomplished, then we leave the planet. And so all of those people that are choosing to leave right now, he's saying it's by choice. It's by choice. And it doesn't work like, because a lot of us were introduced to reincarnation through the Hindu beliefs. And, that says that one person comes down, you go up there. And we've kind of made it so that, we're up there, we fly around for a couple hundred years, and then we're like, okay, I'm going to go back down. It doesn't work like that. Literally, like, you go up, you come down. Not in a day, but, I know people that have passed away, and I know 2 instances where someone passed away and was back born 7 months later. So, and I talked about that. I uploaded the meeting of the Emerald Fire onto YouTube where I talked about abortion, but we don't need to talk about that right now. But, that's always a soul choice, obviously, as well. But that's how it works with, like I said, we're not just in the center. We're in all of those places, and then they connect to other places. And, one of my biggest challenges is staying here. Is not like flying around and doing all kinds of stuff because, we do that a lot in nighttime though. Like, I know a lot of you do the same thing where you see yourself in other places overnight. So this period that we're moving into now, I feel like Saturn is sort of, so I was thinking, like, I was going to say rolling out the red carpet, and then what Metatron showed me was paving a road. So he's paving the way for Pluto to come in there. So yes, we're in a period of awakening right now. But that will just be amplified a lot more, like once we come to 2023. This is sort of like the precursor, and when things start to happen for people, because usually people have, like, I always say the universe drops a pebble, then it drops a stone, then it drops a boulder. So people are coming to their awakening, but, it's going to be like the mass awakening. It will most likely take place while Pluto is in Aquarius. So let us talk about Ohana. So Ohana, if any of you have watched Lilo and Stitch, you know that they say Ohana means family. And when I was talking to Metatron about doing this video, he brought up Ohana. And so I Googled it. So this is Day of the Shirt is the website. But where does Ohana come from? On a literal level, Ohana refers to part of the taro plant, Ohana. The oha is the shoot of the plant, which can be cut to regrow a new plant, and ana is a word that conveys regeneration. By metaphorical extension, Ohana used in native Hawaiian culture for one's social support system, including one's nuclear family, extended family, close friends and colleagues, and other communities or groups they belong to. The idea is that just as the taro plant produces offshoots, a person's family is multi-generational and grows in different directions as our social contacts do as well. In addition to describing relationship networks, Ohana carries a certain responsibility. When you're part of an Ohana, you have an obligation to take care of those in your circles, and they have an obligation to take care of you. In the context of a family, this can mean respecting your elders or caring for children within a family. In a work, Ohana colleagues share obligations. More generally, a member of any type of Ohana is expected to behave honorably and avoid bringing shame to the group. So when you look at the axis of Leo and Aquarius, Leo is about the self, right? And what's unique about us, what shines through us, our creative gifts and abilities. And opposing that then is the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is, I see it as the soul family. Now, the traditional explanation is that it can be like social groups that you belong to, your friend groups. It covers like concerts. That's a place where when everyone's, singing together at a concert, you really feel like you're part of the whole. The only time that Aquarius could be an issue is if we don't want to go along with the program, and so we have this subconscious story where we don't fit in, and so we can feel like we're left out of a group. So this is a time, I believe, now with all of us who are asking for soul family members to make themselves known to us, support systems to make themselves known to us in a larger sense, like not just in your nuclear family, or maybe even your extended family, but the soul family. Okay. And and the vibration of the higher self, the cosmic vibrations, that's a way that we're going to during this period then, as Saturn's going through there, form relationships with soul family that are strong, strong bonds between us, and lasting relationships too. So, but really we're focusing on now, just like it's no coincidence that what's happening now is happening as Saturn enters Aquarius, because now is a time that we focus on what's best for humanity and what is maybe a little inconvenient for us, but what is best for the whole. How can we make sure that the people among us who are the most sickly, the most at risk, how can we make sure that they're protected? We can stay home and we can wash our hands all the time and follow the self-isolation protocol. And so that's, I think, going to be a theme moving forward. What's best for the whole? And I know that there are still going to be people out there in the lower energies who are not thinking that way. Like I said, everybody has their role to play. Just try to have grace for those people. I've had a lot of obnoxious incidents too. I was going to tell a story, but we'll just skip past that. So it's an exciting time when Saturn is going through Aquarius, because it's going to be the birth of new structures, is what Metatron is saying. And I don't know how long that's going to take before those new structures to be implemented and to be, firmly in place. But I wanted to share with you that when Saturn moves back into Aquarius then in the middle of December, that a couple of days after he moves back into Aquarius, Jupiter then joins him in Aquarius. And, Jupiter, blessings, gifts, abundance, plenty. He also looks at what's best for the whole. And Jupiter and Uranus both share that they're both about freedom. Okay, so, this could be something where technology and maybe things on the internet become like more accessible to a lot of people. But it begins what's called a trigonalis of air. We're moving out of a 200-year period of Earth into air. This is going to be a lot of air and fire. And I actually bought this. I don't know if she's going to show up on camera so well, but her name is Oha. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because when I looked at her name, I was like, oh, yeah. You see how she's got fire and she's got the air with the sword up there. So we'll talk about her more next time. But I'm going to put the article that Michael Bartlett, another astrologer, wrote an article relating to what we can expect with moving into the air trigon. I will link that in the description box below. And then remember that. So, yeah, on the 5th of April, Jupiter and Pluto are coming to their first of 3 conjunctions. That's going to be very intense, and we're already there. We're already building toward that. Okay, there's just a lot happening right now with Pluto. These Pluto-Eris squares, which, play into what is going on right now, because Eris was responsible for plagues. And of course, Pluto being transformation. Eris is one of Mars' sisters. She's known, the Romans called her Discordia. She's called like the goddess of discord, the goddess of chaos. And Pluto is a feminine energy as well. I relate Pluto to Isis. And, that's about death and transformation, what rises from the ashes. And that goes on through the end of next year. I don't believe that. I really find something wooden to knock on. Don't think that that Easter Sunday, we're going to be good to go. I think that this is probably going to go on a lot longer than we were first led to believe, depending on where you are and what's happening in your community. In my community, we've had it for weeks. I just didn't talk about it on video, but we had somebody hospitalized at our little suburban hospital here weeks ago who we know was related to somebody who worked in the schools. and they didn't close the schools. They didn't do anything. So we started doing self-isolation before it was official, because my daughter has low immunity. But I wanted to bring up that what my friend in Northern Italy shared with me is that, things where she is, and she's not in Milan, but, she's in Northern Italy. And she told me a couple of weeks ago to get a mask. And I told her, like, that doesn't protect you. And she said, no, it's because when you go out and you don't have a mask on, people are, well, in her case, and a friend of hers also, the people are extremely hostile. Like, she had a friend who took her kids for a walk, and the kids were crying because somebody was yelling terrible things at them. So if you are in an area that's very affected and you have to go out and run errands because you have to get food and what have you, maybe get a mask, because you want to make sure that the other people aren't afraid of you, because that's what it is. It's fear that's driving the anger. It's obviously not just that they're angry. They're worried. So I did a card. I pulled cards for this. And this is the first time that I've worked with this. I like Kim Krans, and I worked with her, the animal spirit deck, but this is the Wild Unknown Archetypes guidebook, or Archetypes, the Wild Unknown Archetypes. So I pull the cards for all of you who are new. I pull off camera to save time, and also because my shuffling is kind of unique, so I do it off camera. So the first card is the desert. The desert leaves us disoriented, desperate for direction, grasping for meaning, longing for solid ground. For endless miles, we are confronted with a lack of clarity and existential dread. We are thirsty, hungry, pleading with life to get back to normal, to become animated by the simple pleasantries of day-to-day life. The desert offers no such comfort, and all must pass through it. If you can embrace the discomfort of the desert, knowing you will someday reach water again, you can tap into the potent energy of the landscape. Its lights are blindingly bright and its darks terrifyingly deep, which makes for an unbridled creativity and clairvoyant visions. Truths reside in the desert that otherwise remain hidden. The crows, the shadows, and the coyotes call surround you. Let the winds and sands work their deep magic, weary traveler. So I think that, because I didn't know that I would be speaking to the length of time that this may go on until, and then I, just talked about it when I read that, right before I read that card. So I'm not going to make any projections. I'm just saying, this is the time that we are going within, and the first week of it, the first couple of weeks of it, we're kind of like it's like we're on vacation, right? Like we're sleeping in, we're staying up late. I am anyway. I've been eating like everything. But he was talking to me about setting boundaries for ourselves, putting ourselves on a schedule, and recognizing that this is when we're in the hermit mode, that's the Virgo card. So really paying attention to diet and to schedule and being disciplined, cleaning our houses out. All of those things that we've been putting off because we're too busy. Now we have time to do that. So I wanted to mention that. But, the desert or the dark night of the soul, which we're having planet-wide, KNIGHT, the night of the soul, we really need to take time to go within and not be putting constant, if you can just have 30 minutes where there's nothing on in the house. And he's talking about how a lot of times we turn things on, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but that we can be doing it as a way of distracting ourselves from confronting things that we don't like to look at, things that have gone on in the past that still bother us. And so really taking time to shut out all of the noise that he's saying, And that, you know, if there's an update, something urgent coming up on the news, he's saying that, you know, we don't need to be the first to know, is what he's saying. That nothing's going to like go by that's important that we miss out on. So, okay. And then we have the mask. And I'm reading these because I've never used the cards before. So, we often think of a mask as something that conceals our identity. Yet contemplate the possibility that the mask permits our true identity to be revealed. It allows. The mask gives voice to that which was previously rejected. When this card appears, enact the side of you that is seeking expression, yet was never given a role to play on the stage of your life. You are in the realm of theater, so anything is possible. Sorry. Speak with the other's voice, embody the other's limbs. You are taking part in the ritual of expanding the self. There may be mischief and deception around, and others may be trying on new masks too. No one is sure who is who. It's likely you've become so attached to a single mask that you need to fall face forward into this perception, bending time. Trust it. So really, you know, right now, while we can, those of us who can, focusing on what's unique and special about us. And he's saying spending time in play, doing things that you enjoy doing, letting the inner child have fun, the inner child that never got to have any fun, letting them have time to express themselves through something creative. All the cards are falling out of the book. So next we have the seed. Beginnings come in many forms. They are not always a beautiful seed placed intentionally in nourishing soil. Origin stories, like any birth story, are complex, surprising, and multi-layered, and usually reveal a central image or detail that represents the fully formed being. Simply stated, the end is present at the beginning, or the entire oak tree resides within the acorn. Whether you follow this imaginal theory or not, know that when this card appears, there is potent generative energy all around. It stirs your very insides and usually results in an antsy, impatient feeling. Pay particular attention to what agitates you, as it is a sure sign of growth to come. You are bumping up against a growth edge. It is from the grit that the pearl eventually comes to be. Whew, I feel like he's talking about that for the whole shebang of the human race. Okay, and then we have the vessel. The vessel may be the most powerful archetypal form on Earth. It is everywhere. Cups hold liquid, stoves hold fire, our bodies hold organs, our homes hold families. Through the simple act of separation, the vessel protects what it contains. Nests protect the eggs. Savings account protects our earnings. Even the planets are contained within their orbit. When this card appears, it's time to assess what is being held together and how is the vessel. Too tight, too loose, broken, empty, full, or perhaps there is no vessel at all and the contents spill in every direction. It is natural for structures to be formed and eventually fall apart. The vessel has a life cycle that must be honored. Is it time for you to build, break, or repair? You must find out. And I think there he's speaking to society. What breaking down, structures that we have in place that are not sustainable. It's not sustainable to just keep paying the military industrial complex and to forget that the people actually paying the taxes are the hourly workers, the wage earners. And that money that, when Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, the taxpayers, Pluto taxes, bailed out the banks, Capricorn. And now as Pluto is getting ready to leave, I think it's time maybe that some of that comes back to us. And I know every country has a different story, but that is what happened in the United States. So, we have to look at what kind of society we want to live in. And if we don't want to live in this kind of society, we have to do something about it. That's what is different here than in Europe. In Europe, people actually do things. They go out in the streets and they demand that there's a change. And we don't know what's going to happen moving forward, if it's going to come to that, because Aquarius energy is about revolutions. So, we don't know. I'm not saying we're going to have a revolution. I'm just saying that, change needs to come. So hopefully this is going to push us into the right direction. Apocalypse. Apocalypse indicates a particularly painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche in seemingly opposing directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how revealing it is to witness them come, or relieving it is to witness them coming into the light, an element of despair and grief follows. The second dynamic is the regeneration that comes from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The old narrative breaks and a new story forms. Apocalypse energy is similar to a forest fire's devastation for the sake of regeneration. The veil lifts and we see who and what has been hiding. From the nakedness of the truth, a child is born. Have faith in the process. Hold on to your center. That is the only way. So I touched on this a little bit on a video. I made a short video in the woods about the 4th, 8th, and 12th house. The nest, the safe harbor, and the home all are about Cancer, your heart, and where you're rooted, where your roots come from, the family. And a lot of us, when we experience, like from 0 to age 7, if we lived with someone who was a bully, or, we felt that we were being threatened in some way, even if it wasn't actually, they didn't actually go through with the physical force. We felt like we were always, afraid. And that's a lot of what's in the air right now. And what happens is then we're constantly tensed up. And when we're tensed up, our root cannot extend. Then that cord comes up and coils up in the root chakra. I know a lot of us were experiencing that coming up to this. My mom said to me today, didn't you say, I don't remember how long ago she said that I said, I feel like something really bad is going to happen. Cancel that language, but that is what I said to her. But, when we're always tensed up, and he's saying, imagining the worst, we're in fear and we're closing up our root. And when we're closing up our root, we are not able to manifest what we want, and we're not able to receive. It's that closing up the root and that tensed up feeling is when we expected to be given love and we were sorely disappointed, typically by our parents. But, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. So really, during this time, this apocalypse time, doing the breathing exercises, there is, someone just told me 2 days ago, I'm going to put it in the description box. I want to say his name is Will Hoff, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to put his information in the description box. If you can do any kind of breath work right now, will be a huge relief, especially if you're worried. If you're in a place like New York, really keeping your core and your center, feeling yourself being rooted in the earth. and held there, and that you're safe there, and allowing yourself to feel the love. The center of the earth looks just like the pure white light of the creator that's above us. As above, so below. The earth is part of the cosmos. Heaven isn't out there. That's the mythology that our DNA is drenched in. But heaven is what you create on earth, and whatever that is for you. There isn't a fictional place. Yes, there's a place where we talk to the angels, but you could go up there, and I'm sure you do at night and do that. And, during the day, we can do that as well. But it's really about, the Pisces Virgo axis is about bringing heaven to earth. And we can't do that if we're not allowing ourselves to be open and have that root chakra portal completely open and in that safe space. A lot of you, we go over the heart song, which is something I learned from Vienna Steibel in sessions. And you can do that work just saying Om. You just put your right hand over your heart and make the Om noise. I do it on the floor. I set the timer on my phone and I make that Om with a really low guttural noise. And you feel like your root chakra extending. Just see the coiled cord like opening and going down into the earth like a corkscrew, so that it's down into the center of the earth, so that you can feel like you're getting a warm hug from the earth. He just said that to me, and he instead of saying it to me, he played Olaf's a warm hug. So now we've talked about Lilo and Stitch and Frozen. So I think that's all that he would like me to share with you right now. So we're really, you guys, it's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be a lot of awakenings, a lot of truths, a lot of I don't want to say cold, harsh reality, but I want to say a lot of truth is going to come to the surface that will be quite shocking. Quite shocking. And so we're talking about a 3-year period. And I just wanted to do this reading. It is about the Saturn in Aquarius, like what's happening during the 3-year period. But the reading was more like for us today, like what do we need to know going into this Saturn in Aquarius transit for the next few years. So anyway, everybody. Oh, also, if you would like to make an appointment with me, you can check in the description box below. I look at the natal charts, and when I look at natal charts, I go into the past lives. Like I see what's playing out, and I do those with Metatron. I'm channeling him all the time. Sometimes it's Jesus, sometimes Michael, or Mary, but most of the time it's Metatron. So, yeah, that's in the description box below if you'd like to book an appointment. And I'm sending all of you so much love. And I'm always sending you energy of love and support. It's funny how many of you I'm appearing in dreams. Now, I'm hearing that a lot more lately. So I've been getting around a lot at night. But really, like when I'm, like when I see myself working at night, it is dark. Not scary dark, but it's dark. But it doesn't have a feeling of dread. It really doesn't. There isn't a feeling of dread. And, you could ask the creator to let you feel what those souls are feeling that have crossed over. They're excited to come back, and there's no crying, and there's no regret. They did what they came here to do, not making light of it at all. But I'm just saying, because I know a lot of us, we say we're empathetic, but that can sometimes be that we're picking up that energy and carrying it with us. So I think I'm going to do a video, maybe the end of this week. I'm going to upload a video to Vimeo, releasing sorrow from the heart and doing some work with the inner child, because, we're all faced right now with how secure are we? The nodes of fate, someone on Facebook had said this, another astrologer. I hadn't recognized when I made that last video that right now the nodes are at the same degree, same place that they were during 9/11. And 9/11 happened here in the United States, but it changed the world. That was a world-changing event, and now we're having another one. So that was 19 years. Node cycles are 19 years. So anyway, everyone, take care of yourselves. I'm sending you so much love, And I will make that meditation video toward the end of this week, maybe over the weekend, and I'll get that uploaded to Vimeo. I'll let you know. I'll make a post on the community tab. So if you just hit notifications, then you'll hear about that. Anyway, everybody, love you guys. Take care.